Hello and welcome to the Pear Blossom Press YouTube channel. My name is Lynn, or LV Handcrafted, across all of the socials, and today I'm going to make a slimline galaxy light up card. And this time I'm making my galaxy background out of fireworks spray. These are from Imagine Crafts, and they have a wonderful shimmer to them, but some really bright pigment. So the color is just fabulous, and then once it dries, you'll really be able to see that shimmer of the mica powder inside. Now, the way that I'm going to build up my galaxy is in layers. So as I add more color, I'm going to add darker and darker colors, and I am going to dry in between. Now, once I get to the really dark colors, I don't really mind if it blends wet on wet. But in the beginning, I really want those brighter spots like that bright pink and the bright green to be preserved as much as possible. So if you don't let it dry in between and you immediately spray a darker color on top, it's really just going to blend all together, and you're not going to really see a distinguishable color. So I've let the background dry, and it kind of looks like a hot mess, but I've come to find that galaxy backgrounds always look like a hot mess until you're really done with your card. So you have to bear in mind that likely you're going to be putting things on top of this background, and of course it doesn't really come to life until you do all of the things. And one of the things that I always do is I always ink up the edges so that it has a really nice vignette of darkness around the border. It really helps to focus and concentrate your eyes towards the center of the card. But I'm also going to bring in some of this black brilliance ink into the center of the card, because there is so much mica in those fireworks spray. It tends to make everything look a lot lighter. And so by inking over some of it and bringing some of this dark black into the middle, it creates a little bit more contrast, so that those lighter areas where I originally had the pink and a little bit of that green, those can come through a little bit better just by contrast. And you can add as much or as little of the black as you'd like, but all I'm looking for is some good contrast. So I have some nice, really dark areas and some lighter areas. And I find that a galaxy doesn't truly come to life until you splatter the stars. So I'm going to use this, which was a recommendation from Carrie. It's the Dr. Martens white, and this is super opaque. It's one of my favorite, if not my most favorite, white to splatter with. And I also really enjoy splattering with a fan brush. I've seen it done before and just never thought to try it myself until I realized I had one in my stash. And it's really nice. I feel like it's more random than using a small watercolor paintbrush like I used to use. So fan brush, definitely a big fan of that. And then so now what I'm gonna do is I've got these darling little astronauts that I've already cut and assembled in rainbow order. And I was thinking, so my original plan was this. I was thinking that I would light up using the twinkle lights, 3 of the astronauts, but what I would do is light up inside their helmet. That's why, as you're seeing me preview and do a little dry fitting here, I actually don't have the topmost piece. It's actually in that lower left-hand corner there. You can see a little pile of multiple colors there. Those are the helmets of the astronauts. And my thought was that I would light up inside the helmet. So what you're gonna see me do is I actually poke a hole through the astronaut and through my galaxy background. And then I'm gonna transfer that location with my pencil right onto my card base. And the twinkle light has 3 lights. So I'm gonna actually poke a hole through 3 additional astronauts. That was my original plan. In the end, though, I decided that I'm not going to light up the astronaut helmet, but rather I'll just light up the stars. I think that's a little bit more fitting with the theme. And you might wonder, why bother lighting up the astronaut helmet when I've got black in their helmet there? Well, that black is actually, it's vellum. It's not black cardstock. So the light would have shown through. But what I was realizing is that it's just a pin light. So you can see me previewing this. It wasn't really creating the effect that I was going for. And because it just looks like a very small spotlight, that looks more like stars to me than the inside of the astronaut's helmet actually lighting up. So what I'm going to do instead is put some clear enamel dots. These are also from Trinity Stamps, and they're really fun because it's like an iridescent glitter, but it's clear. So you see that iridescent glitter suspended in this clear enamel dot. Really, really fun. And I'm gonna put those little gems on top of where I've pierced holes. That helps to actually kind of disperse the light a little bit more, and it disguises that you've poked a hole through the panel. So it's doing a little bit of double duty there. And I want to also make sure that I have saved some space for the battery. So I've positioned that down and glued that down. And that's going to be, it for actually assembling or installing the light. Super easy. Now all I have to do is put down some of the world's best foam tape. This is about 3 millimeters thick, so it's the perfect thickness for the battery pack. And one of the things that makes it the world's best foam tape is that the liner is super easy to peel off. And the second thing that makes it really awesome is that it's repositionable for the first 30 minutes or so. So if you've put your panel down and you realize maybe something's crooked, maybe something isn't looking right, then for the first half hour or so, you can still peel that up and it's not going to tear your cardstock. So one of the things I really love about the World's Best Foam Tape, because it's definitely saved a card or two where maybe something just didn't turn out the way that I wanted. So I was just able to take everything apart, still use the foam, maybe, save some of the elements that I had used, and then remake the card. And sometimes that happens. And so it's really nice when you're, when you don't have to like start everything over from scratch. And the World's Best Foam Tape lets you do that. So now that I have kind of switched gears a little bit, I need to actually reposition my astronauts so that they are not going to cover up those little stars. And it's easy enough to do, but it's one of those things where sometimes things don't really work out in your head the way they work out on paper, and so that's totally okay. And switching gears, it's really just a matter of a bit of paper, and luckily in this case I was still able to like use everything. I didn't have to tear everything apart, but like I mentioned, if you're using the World's Best Foam Tape, then you definitely don't have to worry about maybe losing your galaxy background that you've worked so hard on. So it definitely has been a staple in my craft room. And the last couple of things I need to add are, of course, the sentiment, which also comes from the Trinity Stamps release, as well as you need to put a little instruction so folks, whoever gets this card will know that there's actually a fun light up interaction. So the last thing I'm going to do is put the word press over the button. And I just really love all of these different enamel dots. Now this is a different one, and you can actually see as I'm tilting it in the light that this one too also has a little bit of a iridescent shine to it. And because they're clear, I feel like you can really add them all over your card, and it just helps to pick up even more sparkle and shine of the galaxy. And of course, the last thing I'm going to add is the press here. And the Pear Blossom Press stamp and die set has a variety of different little stamps that are the perfect little instruction for letting folks know that the card actually lights up and where to push to turn it on. So here's a close-up look at my card. You can see the difference between the two enamel dots. One is clear and one is a little bit more white. And I like having the combination of the two. It's just different sparkles and different shine. And the galaxy background, now with everything on top of it, it doesn't quite feel as much of a hot mess as it did before. And with the twinkle lights, one of the fun things is that they don't all come on at the same time. So as long as you are pushing down the lights, they sort of blink on and off. And it's something that's lots of fun, a little bit of a surprise, and really fun to make. Thanks so much for checking out my video today. I'll leave links to everything in the description box below. And until next time, happy crafting and have a fabulous day. Bye.